Hi, I'm Patricia Marshall Harris, and welcome to Dishing with Patricia. As a food, nutrition, and healthy lifestyle consultant, I believe food is our medicine. As the host of Dishing with Patricia, I also believe in connecting with notable guests who would dish about themselves, local events, community topics, and of course, food. Today, I'm pleased to introduce my featured guest, Dr. Ishmael Major, aka Dr. Ish, the Senior Vice President of Health Equity at Crossroads Treatment Centers and a board-certified psychiatrist. Dr. Ish feels his years of experience as a licensed psychiatrist and a person of color make him a perfect advocate to help CTC address substance abuse disorders, mental health issues, as well as the social determinants of health. Welcome to Dishing with Patricia.
Hey Patricia, how you doing?
I'm very well, thank you. And
Thanks so
yourself?
much for having me. I'm doing great.
Yeah? Tell us about you.
So I'm a board-certified psychiatrist, born and raised in South Carolina. 5 sisters, 8 aunts. Mom and dad were together for 56 years, so I'm a country boy at heart. But the first 5 of us were born and raised in Brooklyn, so had that cool mix down south. I have been a psychiatrist, graduated med school in 2000.
Okay.
Did all my schooling at what I could tell people is the other USC, University of South Carolina. 14 years all the way through, and been loving it ever since. I grew up in a house that was full of emotion, right? The good kind, where people talked a lot and they emoted a lot and they told you how they were feeling a lot. So I always had this kind of sixth sense when it came to how people were doing, right?
Okay.
I kind of got that from my mom. And my sisters growing up in a house with all that estrogen. So the psychiatry fit kind of felt natural when I finally went into it.
Was there a moment that you knew this is my path?
I was a very sickly kid. I overdosed on some iron pills and prenatal vitamins my mom had when she was pregnant with my little sister when I was 3-4 years old. Was in a coma for a week.
Wow.
Came out of that, and every single year, like clockwork, whatever thing was going around, I had it. So I was always in and out of the doctor's office. So as a kid, all I knew was I would feel bad, I'd go to the doctor's office, I'd feel better, right? And so that was a cool thing. So that's that first sparked my interest in it. And then my mom was always sick. She had lupus before a lot of folks knew what it was, right? So back in the 60s. And she would go back and forth between South Carolina and Kings County and Brooklyn. And finally somebody in Kings County diagnosed it and told her what it was and what everything was going on with it. So as a child, as a little boy,
yes.
right? The baby boy, by the way.
Okay.
Right? As that little kid, all I knew was whatever this lupus thing is the thing that keeps taking my mom away from me.
Oh.
Right? And so I wanted to know all I could about that to stop that from happening.
You wanted to fix it.
Right? I wanted to fix it. So I keep my mom. Had horrible separation about very, very selfish reasons, but later on that also just kind of sparked the interest, and it got me very comfortable in and out of doctor's offices because I would always go with her.
You are the Senior VP of Health Equity for Crossroads Treatment Centers.
Yes.
Crossroads Treatment Centers have centers here in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and other parts of the United States.
Yes.
Can you tell us about what exactly is Crossroads?
Crossroads is a substance abuse healthcare company, right? We are one of the largest providers of substance abuse treatment in the country.
Really?
Have over 120 clinics from Texas all the way up to Jersey, and see about 26,000 patients per day, right?
Wow.
So huge company. We have 50 facilities right here in Pennsylvania, 7 in Philly proper, where we see about 3,000 patients per day, 14,000 throughout the state of Pennsylvania. So it's a really cool company as far as substance abuse, mental health services, and now, as of this month, July 14th, primary care. Because the interesting thing is, what we found was if somebody's coming to us for their substance abuse treatment, we're the only doctors they go to. So we need to be able to do a little bit of everything right there to make sure they're getting the best health care possible, right? That's our mission, which is to provide superior health care outcomes. And the way we do that is my specialty, which is being as VP of Health Equity. Yes.
So there's a list of doctors within your network
Yes.
that they have access to.
You got it. Yep. 24/7, get those referrals. One of the cool things, I go on and on about this company because number one, it's a great company. Number two, the CEO is a very dear friend of mine. right?
Okay.
We started medical school together back in 1995. Rupert McCormick, he's a psychiatrist by trade also.
Really?
He started Crossroads in Greenville, South Carolina in 2012. Right? Started with one clinic, then grew to 2, and then 3. He started his journey with Crossroads around about the same time I started my television journey, right? And so we're both psychiatrists, both in med school at the same time, both in residency together as well, but then our paths took us in 2 very different directions, right? Mine took me towards co-hosting the doctors and being the host of Marriage Boot Camp and palling around with Nick Cannon on his show, and Rupert's took him to 120 opiate clinics all around the country, right? But as of this year, it kind of brought us back together. Right?
And how did that happen?
So he gives me a call. Rupert's one of those guys who, whenever he calls you with an idea, you always want to pick up the phone, right? Because it's just going to be something cool and something, something you never heard of.
Right.
So he's like, Ish, I got a very interesting situation. He's like, I've got a ton of business, ton of clinics. We're doing some really cool stuff in Philadelphia, but I don't feel like I'm reaching the people I need to reach, right? I feel like when it comes to the communities where the black folks are, where the brown folks are, I think we're still missing the mark, because remember, back in 2012, opiate abuse started off as a white person's thing, right?
Correct.
You didn't hear too many black folks using painkillers. It was the Appalachian Trail, right on up through the mountains. But now, after COVID, it's more African American folks dying and overdosing of opiates than anybody else. And a lot of folks don't realize
Is that because of COVID?
It's because of the emotional effects that COVID took on all of us, right? So many of us weren't doing all that great before COVID hit.
Correct.
And then COVID pushed so many of us over the edge, right? Wow. And so what do pain pills do? Well, they numb the pain. It's a numbing medicine, right? It helps me not feel, right? So those folks who are closest to the edge, which in this country happens to be black and brown folks, right? And
Correct.
a bunch of white folks in poverty too, but mostly us, it really took us over the edge now. So that's
So the numbers changed from the majority being white folks to now black folks. If I called today and said, look, I'm at the crossroads.
Yep.
Can you help me? How fast can I get treatment?
Crossroads is the only company in the country that is up and running 24/7. So if you call right now today, I can have you on the phone with the provider, with the doctor, with the nurse practitioner within 30 minutes. Nobody else is doing that, right? And if you think about it, when you're in crisis, in substance crisis, maybe you're in withdrawal, or you're in a situation, you're trying to figure out what to do, and you're finally ready to get help, you don't want to have to wait a day or 2.
No.
If it's Monday and I'm like, okay, I can see you Thursday, well, by Thursday, you're going to be high again and in withdrawal all over again, and the loop continues, so we can get you in 30 minutes. You can have your medication in hand within an hour or 2. Right?
So how do I contact you? Do you have a number?
So we have, you go to the website, crossroadstreatmentcenters.com, and the number's right there. You can chat it up, you can call the number, everything is right there. Super, super easy. If it's from business hours, 9 to 5, you can walk right in any one of our convenient locations, right? It's part of our vision. We want to make this thing as convenient and comprehensive as possible.
Okay.
So you can walk right in, no appointment needed. If it's after hours, if it's after 5 or 6, you got your own virtual. You got your own phone, right? We're doing a virtual visit, and you're on that phone with the provider within 30 minutes or less. So it's a 24/7 thing. And remember, substance abuse with black and brown folks in particular is a thing that's shaming for us, right? We don't like everybody to know. Most of us who are using are trying to hide it from our families and our friends, and we seem to think that they don't know somehow that we're spending $200 a day on opiates, and we're never present in the moment. So that's usually an appointment they want to go to on their own. Family, if you got support, the better. But if you're coming on your own because you're just trying to get this thing done, I will take you as you are.
This is not in-house treatment. This is
outpatient, right? So you do not have to, you're not checking into a rehab facility, you're not staying overnight, it's not residential. This is all outpatient services. You call or you come in for your appointment, you go home, right? Wherever home is, and you take your medicine, and it is a home-based detox, right? What we call MAT, medication-assisted treatment.
Okay.
Right? We're using Suboxone, we're using methadone, we're using things of that nature to help you with your drug of choice. Our care manager is going to take care of you from day one. You're going to make that phone call, and now you're part of our house, right? You're part of the Crossroads house, what we call a specialty house, which means your ticket in, there needs to be some type of substance use. With us, it's opiate use, right?
Okay.
Once you're in the family, once you're in the house, so to speak, now our care manager is going to get you plugged into whatever services you need, right? Are we having trouble with housing? Are we having trouble with transportation? Here are some things we can do. Are you having trouble just affording treatment in general?
Correct.
Right? One of the cool things we do is we tap into a lot of grant systems where we can get your treatment for hugely discounted prices, or in some cases for free. Right? If you need primary care, which 90% of our folks do, we get you plugged in there, right? So we like to take care of you from soup to nuts the minute you walk through the door.
So even if you don't have private health insurance, you're able to come there and get some type of assistance.
And most of our folks have Medicaid, right? So that's our patient population.
What are the numbers? What are your numbers? What are they saying? Are you seeing a difference?
At 90 days,
Yes.
80% of our clients are no longer having a strong urge to use. So if you talk to anybody who's been using pain pills, been using heroin for years on top of years, they will tell you that being dope sick is the worst kind of sick in the world. So it's the withdrawal syndrome that will not kill you, Patricia, but it'll make you wish you were dead. It's a 7-day to 14-day process, and there's just nothing you can do to speed it up, right? So folks will say, it's the urge to use, doc. It's that when the dragon starts riding me and starts telling me that I can't go another day without it, if I could get rid of that craving, if I could get rid of that urge, I think I could probably get through the rest, right? So 80% number at 90 days when you're not having a strong urge, that is humongous, right? And after 12 months with us, 90% of our folks are sober.
That's great.
Clean and sober. And the way we do it, right, we use a measurement-based treatment program, so we can speed up your recovery time twice as fast as with anybody else. That's what our numbers show.
Great. So you're in the Black and brown communities. Are you affiliated with any grassroots area? You just said that you are trying to get known in the Philadelphia area.
Yes.
Who are you reaching out to that's going to help make this different?
Yeah, well, that's a great question. So when we came in, we had Representative Bullock and Senator Street, who've been huge supports to us. And those first few conversations with Senator Street, let me tell you, there were some stern conversations.
Okay.
Wasn't a whole lot of laughing, wasn't a whole lot of smiling, because he's seen folks come into the community before, make all of these pie-in-the-sky promises and never follow through, right? And so he's waiting to see, are we going to be the ones who actually show up and do the work like we said we would in the community? So he gave us a list of folks. He was like, if you're serious about doing this work, here's a list of people I want you to work with. On the top of that list is Mel Wells and Tasha over at ODAP, One Day at a Time. Then we had George and Dot over at Stop and Surrender, right? Everything Must Change was on that list. Savage Sisters are on that list. So we started right there, right? We started right there. Just did a huge event with Mel and ODAP last week. They had a community festival and we were one of the big sponsors. Made a 15 grand donation because they're doing the work. And Mel took us on a tour through the city. He took us on a tour through the houses where he's helping the people and helping them get back on their feet. I'll tell you a quick story. We walked through one women's shelter, and we're on the way in, and there's a young lady on the way out, and she's stopping by, and she's like, oh, hey, how you doing? You know, I'm actually going to pick up the keys to my new apartment. And then she tells us the story. She was like, you know, I came in here a year ago, and I didn't have an address to my name, no place to stay, no food, no money, no nothing. And today, I am clean, I am sober, 12 months in, I got a job, and I'm going to get the keys to my new place. And none of that would happen if not for One Day at a Time with Mel Wells. ODAP. So that right there told me that they're the folks who do it.
So you're putting your donations, and you're going to be a partnership with.
We're going to partner with all these folks in the community because they're doing the work.
Correct.
Right? They know where the folks are who need the help, right? And so we've got resources to bring to bear. So it's a good fit. It's a natural fit. We don't want to come in and tell you guys how to do the thing because you've been here, you've been doing it. We just want to help you do it a little bit better.
Okay. So, you know, part of Dishing with Patricia is we talk about current events, we talk about what you're talking about, how we go back and help our communities. Right. But also we talk about food. Food is medicine. And how do you think nutrition can aid those that have an addiction?
When you talk about health equity, a lot of folks don't really know what that means. I'm sure you do, but just for the folks at home who don't,
yes, please do.
Right? We're talking about those social determinants of health, right? we at Crossroads want to make sure that everybody has the best health outcome possible, right? And the way we do that in particular is we focus on health equity, which means you need to have access, right? You need to be able to get to your doctor, and they need to be good.
Correct.
Right?
Correct.
And so some of those social determinants of health that keep black and brown folks and folks who are not as well off as others from getting to their doctor, transportation. Got a car? Do you have a bus pass? Can you get, or a subway pass? Can you actually physically get from one place to the other to go see your doctor, right? Obviously, poverty is a huge driver of that, right?
Correct.
And so if you're struggling with income, if you're struggling with job, if the choice is, am I gonna feed these kids today, or am I gonna get my medicine? There ain't no choice, you're gonna feed your kids.
Correct.
Right? So those are one of the other things we try to address. Obviously racism, which a lot of people don't want to talk about still, especially a lot of healthcare companies, but there's a lot of inherent bias, right? And it's not just towards your provider who doesn't look like you towards you and what they think, it's also from us towards them, right? You walk in and you see somebody, don't look like you, don't talk like you, don't have a shared living experience, and so you automatically think, yeah, they're not gonna get it.
They're not going to help you.
Right? They're not gonna help me like I need it, right? And so that's the thing that keeps you from coming through the door. Right? Broadband. Do you have a phone with cell service? Do you have Wi-Fi? Right? Because we can text you that appointment time and we can follow up with you and make sure you're doing okay. Hey, how are you doing on day one? How are you doing on day two? We can call you, right? Crossroads, we're launching a team of community health workers,
Okay.
right? And they're going to be in the streets doing the thing with the people, checking up and following up. And you're going to need a cell phone, and you're going to need broadband. So we partner with Verizon, and they're providing the cell phones, they're providing the cell service. You just got to get them in the hands of the people. So really, really cool things like that are the things I get to work on when it comes to health equity.
Okay, so you're going to hold them to the fire.
As my mom would say, we're going to hold their feet to the fire.
Hold their feet to the fire. We haven't had an opportunity to have a sip of this
It looks delicious. What is it?
refreshing drink that I made. This is a blueberry ginger cooler. So what I try to do is incorporate seasonal fruits and vegetables in everything that I do. This is blueberry and ginger, which you know that blueberry has a lot of antioxidants. Ginger helps fight germs and boosts your immune system.
Huge.
This recipe and all the nutritional content can be found on classyandessentialnutrition.com. I also want to talk about food where you came from, South Carolina.
Yeah.
So if my audience will stick with us for a moment, we're going to be back. Welcome back to Dishing with Patricia. Dr. Ish, are you ready to dish with me a little bit?
I am. I'm ready to dive in.
Okay, this is going to be a jackfruit stew. So I'm going to just pass you the ingredients and you're going to put it in this casserole dish.
Okay.
This is olive oil.
Olive oil.
Yes.
All right.
Normally, all of it,
Okay.
yes. Normally when you're cooking, this would be on top of the stove. And then always put your foods in a pan that's already warm. But this is going in the oven, so we're okay. So this is some onions. This recipe will be on classyandessentialnutrition.com. So this is onions. Here are some carrots.
Beautiful.
Yes. Yes. Fresh garlic. Yes.
It's gonna be good.
Yes, it is. So this is some chili powder.
Okay. Kick things up a little bit.
Yes. No, this is going to kick it up. This is spicy paprika, hot paprika, Spanish paprika.
Okay.
Yes. This is some garlic and onion powder, smoked garlic and onion powder. There you go.
Some flavor here.
Yes. These are a couple of bay leaves. There you go. I'm sorry to pass that to
Now,
you.
Patricia, this is bringing back old memories for me.
Tell me.
So I grew up in a house full of women. My mom was an amazing cook.
Okay.
But everybody cooked and ate on, so there was always something going on the stove. I was just always the helper.
Okay, so
Mostly getting in the way, but I would try to help a little
bringing
bit.
back good memories.
Bringing back good memories
Okay.
for me, yeah.
So this is cilantro, please. Put that inside. This is, what was one of your favorite things that you would get in the way in helping them?
Oh my goodness. So my mom, she could, do everything on stove, but she was an excellent baker.
Really?
Yeah, and she would do these homemade cinnamon rolls, you know.
Wow.
Oh, it was so delicious. Oh,
Yes.
I got the
yes.
recipe, but I've, since she transitioned, I have yet to been able to reproduce it properly.
Do you think
But,
that you can make the cinnamon buns?
I think I've done it once, and I got pretty close.
Right.
And she was able to try it, and she was like, thumbs up. You did it.
Yeah, that's a good thing.
Okay.
I learned how to cook being in the kitchen with my mother.
Yeah.
I come from a family of 10.
Okay.
My mother had 8
Okay.
girls and 2 boys. So this is jackfruit. This is a
I've never seen
plant-based,
that.
yes, and the origin is India. So,
Huh.
so we're using jackfruit instead of, chicken
Yeah,
and things like
yeah.
that. You're going to love this dish.
Very cool.
Yes. So that's how, and this is how it comes. You can buy it at Trader Joe's. I get this at Trader Joe's. So it's jackfruit.
Okay.
Yes. And this is cherry tomatoes.
Okay.
And this is vegan sausage, spicy Italian vegan sausage. And as I said, the ingredients is on the site. These are red and Yukon potatoes.
Okay.
Yukon potatoes hold the starch as well as red potatoes. They won't fall apart
Gotcha,
and they'll
gotcha.
keep their form, yes. When you're cooking, it's important to find out what goes best. So if you don't mind stirring all that up together, getting the essence around. I mean, that looks good.
It looks good right here.
Colorful. Your
Right?
food should always have a lot of color.
It looks healthy, is what it looks like to
Well,
me.
I can't wait for you to taste it. And this is vegetable broth.
Okay.
Vegetable broth. So you're gonna just pour that over that, please. Yeah. So here is the top. We're just gonna put the top on this and go away and come back. It'll be ready. So I'm going to sit this over here because, and I'm going to put it in the oven in just a second, but I'm going to tell you how to make rice that is easy. It's not going to come out sticky. I hate that.
Yeah, I have not quite been able
You
to
know
master the rice thing just yet.
Put it in the oven
Never seen that before.
right here.
Yeah.
So you know the ratio 2 to 1. So
Okay.
if it's a cup of
Wait,
rice,
what's the ratio now?
2 to 1. So if it's a cup of rice, it's 2 cups of water. Yes.
Whoops.
Maybe that's why your rice isn't turning out right. So being from South Carolina,
Yeah.
I thought about that you were coming on, and I wanted to get some Carolina rice,
Yeah.
but I wasn't able to.
Yeah.
But I always use brown rice, long grain brown
Always
rice.
saying the same
So-
thing. Yes.
And also, when you're doing your
It's
rice,
healthy. It's
yes,
healthy.
yes, it is. When you're doing your rice, don't just put water in it. I always cook my rice with a broth, or I add olive oil or seasonings to my rice. So we're gonna put this in the oven as well. I'm showing you all the things that I'm making that we're going to serve Ish in just a moment. So if I'm moving a little fast, remember you can find the recipes on my website. Last but not least, being from South Carolina, okra.
I know what this is. Oh, yes.
So tell me, you said that your parents used to go get the okra out of the garden?
Yeah, so we grew up in the country, right? As we say, the sticks.
Yes.
And so it was a town called Yemassee. About 1,000 folks, maybe 500 of us were people. All the rest were animals. So we had a full-on field out back, and we would grow our okra and our beans and tomatoes and our corn. And so some of the best memories I have are literally just, hey boy, going out there, and grab a couple stalks of okra and bring it back. And it's literally going from the field to the sink to
table.
wash to the table.
Does your family still have this farm? Or somebody-
Still have the property, yeah.
Wonderful.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
great. That's great.
yeah.
So we're going to just, I'll do this while we're talking about this. I grew up with a large family, and my mother had a garden always.
Okay.
I don't have one. I never learned how to do
Yeah.
that. But this is olive oil. This is some seasoning salt, some paprika, and I'm going to finally put it with some regular salt
Okay.
on top of this. And just massage it, just massage it, just massage it. And I'm gonna move these things off because this is going to go into the oven. Everything is gonna go into the oven, but this is gonna go into the oven lastly. It's only about 20 minutes. Everything else is I'd say about 45 minutes. Put it in a Dutch oven or whatever you wanna put it in, but just put it, and also, folks always say, oh, I don't eat okra because it's slimy.
So that was the problem I had as a kid. I couldn't do the slime.
Okay.
I can do it fried, maybe.
Right.
But other than that, I was like, I'm a visual kind of. I was a visual kind of.
Right.
It didn't quite look right to me. I couldn't do it. But but the taste I love.
Right, exactly. Well, being from South Carolina, I used to go to South Carolina quite often, and we would always have okra stew. And that's so this is what I'm doing. So if you don't mind, you can sit right there.
Okay.
I'm going to get this plate, and I'm going to move this over. I'm going to first start. This is my oven baked rice.
No kidding.
I did this already,
No kidding.
and it's not. Look,
Wow.
it's nice and flaky.
Not clumpy. Not sticking.
It's not sticking together. My
Yeah.
mother didn't believe in that.
Yeah.
She was like, make it over.
Oh, no kidding.
No,
Yeah.
I'm serious.
Yeah.
When I got an adult, she says, make it over. I'm like, do I really? Yes, make it over. So this is how you make rice. And you're not continuing to bother it. So this here, look at this.
Oh, that looks good.
Everything was done together.
That looks
Not just
good.
put it in
Yeah.
there. And I hope you're going to like this. So we're going to top this here. And normally I would, put little peppers and stuff on top of it just to give you a little color. But I'm going to sit this here.
Oh, that's good.
And but I also going to put. Do you mind if I put a little bit of okra on it? It's
Go
not
for it.
slimy.
Yeah,
It's
go for it. Yeah,
okay.
Go for it.
So you just kind of top it with some.
Take me back home to South
Yes,
Carolina. I
yes,
like it.
Yes. So, but lastly, if you want to start, I'm going to cut a piece of cornbread. You're in on that? Okay.
All in on that. One of my sisters, she was sent me something the other day that a young one was doing on Facebook.
Yes.
And she had Queen Afua on. And was talking about
Right.
how food should be replenishing and
Yes.
refreshing and about rebuilding.
Yes.
And so this kind of reminds me of what they were talking about because everything is just so healthy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, as I said to you earlier, food is medicine.
Mm-hmm.
And if you are eating correctly, you could change your numbers on your diabetes, you could change your numbers on your high blood pressure. I mean, you can do any and everything about your food. I think if we took our time to eat properly, we could change the dynamics of obesity. Also, people are getting depressed by this weight. All of us gained, they said, about 12 point some odd pounds over COVID.
Myself included.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's time for us to get back into the kitchen. But
And and like I said, because as a psychiatrist, what I say is we are emotional eaters, right?
Yes.
We eat for comfort.
Yes.
We eat for company.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Sitting on the couch by ourselves, well, it's just me. I might as well have some chips or whatever the snack
Right.
is.
And then you gotta have a drink.
Right, keep me company, right? Right? And like you mentioned, diabetes, high blood pressure, as black folks, those are the two main things that just get us. And they get us because there's no immediate effect. Well, if my blood sugar is 200 today, I felt a little bad, but it'll clear up, right? But over time is the thing. And
It's
it can
how you
all be controlled with diet.
Yes,
Everything.
I agree. So please,
Yeah.
taste that. And while he's tasting that, we took a break over the summer for a couple of months. But this is our first episode back. And I hope you guys are going to enjoy this. This has been a fabulous interview with
That is good.
Dr. Ish.
That is
and-
delicious.
Okay.
That's taking me back home right there, Patricia.
Let's take you back
Let's
home.
take me back home.
Okay.
Mhm.
So that's what you want to do. When you have a guest on your show, you want to take them back home. I want you to feel like you're in my kitchen because that's how I grew up, like you grew up. I grew up in my mother's kitchen. But before I go, I want you to share with our guests when you asked about those flowers, those roses. I
Flowers are
had no
beautiful.
idea about that.
Flowers are beautiful. So my mom always had fresh flowers.
Yes, I do.
And so we were always about that. So I was like, okay, well, they're pretty, obviously, right? So it's always good to surround yourself with beautiful things.
Yes.
Because life can be hard, right? So it just reminds you of the beauty that's there naturally.
Yes.
But roses in particular have their own unique energy, right? That they give off. And so you just, not only do you feel better because they look pretty in the room,
Yes.
but they help you feel better because they give you energy. And particularly if you just get a little close and give them a full sniff, you get a jolt of energy. And so I always a couple times a month, like to get some fresh roses in the house, just to give me that boost of energy, that energy kick. So it's beautiful. Right? It's not just the visual, it's also the energy kick that's going to give you.
Well, go on my website, look up my recipe, go to the market and buy you some roses, and invite your friends over and have a healthy meal and dish about the recipes that you got off of Dishing with Patricia. Until next time, bye.
It's good, y'all.